Hi everyone, I'm Kim with Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, we are doing another Where is the Deck Now? This is where I revisit an old unboxing of a deck that I just knew I had to have, and now I share with you where is that deck now. That's what we're doing today. And when you get a moment, if you haven't already done so, watch the unboxing of the Mystical Shaman Oracle. I have it linked in the description box. Don't judge me. I was just really starting out my YouTube channel at that time, so I don't know. It was kind of hard to watch, but I had to watch it in order to make my points and be able to answer some of the questions that will be posed during this Where's the Deck Now video. So if you're curious to know where did my copies of the Mystical Shaman go, or are they here with me, or are they not? What happened with the deck? Stay tuned. Why did I buy the Mystical Shaman Oracle? Why did I buy this deck? There's a multitude of reasons. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm referring to my notes. But one of the things that drew me was like the beauty of the deck, the matte finish. Hay House was delving into changing up the finish on their cards, and I was like, yeah, I really wanted that. I really wanted to feel those cards in my hands. I love the colors of the deck. I love the premise of the deck, mystical, and then shaman. Now, now I'm kind of leery about using such terms I'm certainly not a shaman, right? But to use such terms loosely, so I'm a little more careful about that. But I thought, oh, well, Mystical Shaman makes it, a little more accessible to someone like me who's not a shaman. So I was like, I really want to check these cards out. I also loved Colette Baron Reid's Enchanted Map Oracle. I really, really appreciated that deck. More so than any of her other decks that she had created or came out with. So I was like, I had high hopes for the Mystical Shaman Oracle that it was going to deliver another great Oracle experience. And like I mentioned before, Hay House was stepping up in their publishing game. And I could tell that this was like a special edition deck release for them because of the packaging. Now I believe you can get the Mystical Shaman Oracle without all the extra boxes. I don't know, I'm assuming that the guidebook would now fit inside the little box that comes with the cards. But at the time, the book, if you watch my unboxing, you will see it's a large size box that holds a big guidebook, that holds another little box with the Oracle and all this extra. So I was just curious. I was honestly curious to see what Hay House was up to, if I'm to be perfectly honest. And finally, if we're on the vein of honesty, I wanted to unbox a deck that I felt was going to be popular. It was going to be great to bring it up on my channel. So I was like, let me order it through Book Depository and have it shipped before it's released in the United States. Let me do that. Well, if you watch the unboxing video that I did, what was it, back in 2018? And I'm gonna, in a moment, I'll get you the date of when I purchased this deck, because I like to have that as a point of reference for you. But when I got the deck, it was banged the hell up. And so that's why I say if you watch the unboxing, you will see I had a real hard time with the copy that I got from Book Depository. So I had learned a valuable lesson about not being so anxious to be getting decks like hot off the presses. That's just one of a million different reasons why you may want to wait on mass market before you just be the first one to get it, because chances are there could be some kinks. So, all right, let's move on to the next question. All right, so what was the connection between me and this deck? And before we do that, I did promise you all that I wanted to mention when I think I bought this deck. It was sometime in April 2018, because that's when I published the unboxing. Now I can get back to answering the question, what was the connection between me and the deck? And when I say connection, this could mean, how did I work with this deck? How much was I working with this deck? What was going on with me in this deck when I first got it? That's what I mean. All right. So I used this deck a couple of times for client readings. I have in my Etsy shop a reading called the Awakened Spirit Vision reading, tarot and oracle reading, a video reading. I think I also do a audio or email reading. I can't recall. But I used this deck, and it was beautiful with the other cards, like the other tarot and oracle decks that I use for that particular reading. So I did use it on a couple of occasions with clients in the beginning when I got it. But what ended up kind of making me not use it as much anymore for client readings was because I had to constantly refer back to the guidebook. There are some decks I don't mind referring back to the guidebook, like certain oracle decks, and then there's often other times where I'm kind of like, I don't want to deal with the guidebook right here, right now. And so I went through a phase with getting to know this deck of, I just don't feel like using the guidebook. So I started working with it intuitively. But then there would be cards that would have key meanings so that you almost have to, or keywords, you almost have to consult the guidebook. So I stopped using it for client readings, and then I switched to using it as a deck that I can put on my altar. I like to do like weekly or every 2 weeks, I like to do a reading for myself and put those cards that popped up from beautiful decks on my altars, on my reading spaces, my reading tables, wherever I can see them. I like to put them up. So it became one of those decks for me, a deck that I would ruminate on the messages, or sit with the messages of the guidebook and journal about them, or just sit and look at the keywords, as it's sitting on my reading table or my altar, and gleaning information from that. So that was the connection. And I did that for a while with the deck, and I really enjoyed what was coming up in those type of readings and meditating with the cards. I'm going to be honest though, I think that my poor shipping experience tainted it for me more than I have realized. And I was a little surprised because I've heard people say like, oh, I had a bad seller experience, or I had a bad, shipping experience, and now I'm not really feeling the deck. And at first I couldn't understand what they were meaning by that. And in retrospect, I realized I was a little turned off by the book depository experience. I'll touch on what ended up happening, how they remedied let me say this, if you end up watching the unboxing, you already know how it was remedied. But even after the remedy of fixing the issue of the bad, broken down copy I got because of poor packing or poor packaging, I still I don't know, it kind of soured me. Let me know in the comments below, have you had a poor seller's experience with a deck, whether it's mass market or indie, or a past shipping issue that you didn't think it would bother you so much, but later down the line you realize it did? I'm curious to hear what you all think about that. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so what are some of my tips on how to work with this deck? Okay, you definitely want to sit with each of the cards and study the images, study the keywords. Look at the guidebook for keywords that stump you or images that you're not quite understanding what's going on. It's a great deck to journal on, and I sense that there is something to be said with this particular deck. Not every deck you need to do this with, but working with a card each day or every other day or once a week till you've gone through all the cards, right? You've gone through the cards and you really have gotten, an understanding of what they're about. What's cool about the cards is they have the upright and reversed meanings, and the reversed position in the guidebook of the Mystical Shaman is called the medicine, and I love the reference of it's not so much the reversal or the shadow, it's the medicine. What is it that you need to glean and to receive from this reading? Okay, so I love that about the guidebook. And I wrote here, consult with your spirit guides and ask them how to work with this deck. I thought it could possibly be a deck I could do for ancestral type of readings, but in the end, it didn't work for me in that way. And that's okay. I have other decks that work better for me for my own ancestral readings that I do. Also, you can work with this deck intuitively. I did have beautiful intuitive readings with it, so just bear that in mind as well. But if you're also someone like me that really appreciates grounding your readings with both intuition as well as understanding what the cards' meanings are, the intentions behind the cards, then it probably would behoove you to take a deeper dive, a deeper study into the deck. Okay, so what's my honest feedback? What's my honest feedback about this deck? This deck is not for every reading, and it's not for everyone. Okay, so just know that it's not for me. It might be for you, but for me and the type of readings I did, it wasn't an all-rounder deck. Even for my own personal readings that I did for myself, I wasn't always called to grab for it or use it. And I can sense that it's not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. All the extra packaging was not necessary. However, thank God that it was there on my deck that I got shipped from Book Depository, because with all the extra packaging, it protected the cards. So there's that. That's a good thing. But it's not necessary. So if I would buy this deck again, I would buy the parsed one, the version that's like just the little box, the deck, and the guidebook that fits inside the box with the deck, and that's it. Because that's just how I roll. Okay, but for those of you who want the fancier packaging, it is there. And yeah, that's it. That's all I got to share about my honest feedback. The question of the moment, the question of the video: where is the deck now? If you watch the unboxing videos, you'll know that I actually had two copies, the highly damaged copy, and then I received a replacement deck that was in much better condition. So I had two copies of the Mystical Shaman Oracle. And what ended up happening is I sold the pristine copy to a bookstore, one of my favorite bookstores that buys all my secondhand decks. Sold it to them because it just didn't make sense to have two. So I ended up selling it to them. And I have the banged up copy. I don't have the banged up copy here with me in my new home of the Dominican Republic. I don't. I actually have it at my parents' house. It's in the United States at my parents' house. They're letting me store a couple of my decks in their guest room. So when I go back to visit, I'll have some decks to play around with and get to know all over again. So this Where's the Deck now? I have the deck. It's just not here with me. It's one of the very few that I left behind at my parents' house in California. And, so sometimes when I do these Where's the Deck now videos, I don't have the deck anymore, period. Like it's been sold or given away. And other times I have the deck. And in this case, I kind of have the deck. It's at my parents' house. I think the reason why I haven't, to be honest with you guys, I'm going to be 100% honest. I think the reason why I still have it and I didn't give it away or sell it was because it was so banged up. And so I ended up putting it into a bag. I still have the guidebook, and I think I threw away the box and both boxes and just have it, the Mystical Shaman Oracle, in like a tarot bag, and I have the guidebook, and so it's waiting for me when I go back to visit California, which will be sometime in the near future. So that's where the decks are now. So, would I buy this deck again? Would I buy the Mystical Shaman Oracle again? As beautiful as this deck is, I would probably not buy it again. And it's beautiful. I watched the unboxing since I don't have it in my hand to flip through now with you. So I watched my unboxing and I was like, wow, the images are gorgeous. But I may retrieve the copy that's at my parents' house and bring it back when I come back from California with a visit with them and bring it in my luggage. So I'll have it. But in terms of the question, would I buy it again? No, because, I have other decks that work a bit better for me than the Mystical Shaman. I'm going to show you some of those decks here right now. One of them I'll mention, but it's on the shelf and I'm not going to get it. It is the Lantern Oracle, which is not the same at all. But in terms of what I was kind of hoping to do, the kind of shadowy spiritual work that I was hoping to do with an oracle that's mass market made, that's what I was hoping for. And so the Lantern Oracle works a bit better for me. But in terms of other mass market oracles that work better for me, I have the Earth Magic Oracle by Stephen D. Farmer. And this one is super inexpensive. It's Hay House. And I really enjoy it. It comes with a guidebook, but what's cool about it that I found challenging with the Mystical Shaman is that, yes, it has a totem like the eagle totem. And it says communion. That communion card works better for me. We have tree, grounding, and that's the card back as well. Fairies, earth magic. Whale, breach, and I love the word breach in a reading. Meadow and vulnerability. Fog, veiled. Okay. Fire, passion. DNA, karma. Let's see, rain, purification. Winter solstice, reflection. This feels a bit more accessible to me than the Mystical Shaman. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. Wolf, we have instinct. Follow your instincts in this situation. Stone people, vigilance. So I'm not going to keep going. I'm going to show you a couple of other decks that work a bit better for me than the Mystical Shaman. And what may end up happening with the Mystical Shaman, the copy that I have at my parents' house, is I might gift it to a relative. I might bring it back with me. I might give it away to a friend out here when I bring it back. I don't know. We'll see how I get along when I reconnect when I visit my parents. That'll be another video. So Earth Magic. And then I have The Earthcraft Oracle, again, another Hay House deck. It's by Juliet Diaz and Lorianne Anderson. And art by Danielle Boudou Fortuné. Neither of these are the same art style, but what I was going for in terms of the feel of the type of readings I was aiming for why I got the Mystical Shaman, these just work better. Here's Transform with Raven. Prophetic Dreams. The Shift. And I do have an unboxing. What I'll do is I'll try to make sure that I link in the description box the unboxing videos or deck and review videos I've done of the decks I'm mentioning now. If I've done a video. I don't always record videos of all my decks, apparently. I thought I did. Forest Tears. Let's see. Plant Seeds. There's nudity here. Wound. Let's see. Karmic Debt. I mean, I can go on and on. Sacred Temple. Prayer. So I'm not going to go on and on. I'm going to show you one more deck because I know I did a video for this one. Okay, so it's got a great little guidebook too. Here's the backs. In case you don't know, you probably already know about this deck. Last one is Spirit of the Wheel Meditation Deck, and this is created by Linda Awashina, illustrations by Jody Bergsma. So this one is a US Games deck, and I love the guidebook. Love it, love it, love it. It's a great little white guidebook. It even gives you date ranges. So the Long Snow Moon, card number 27, has the associated time period of November 22nd to December 21st. It has keywords, and then it has a prophecy section, and then a prayer that you can say, a beautiful detailed prayer per card. So the backs I'm not too fond of, I'll be honest. Why are they like this? I'm not too fond of the backs because they're just, I don't know, they're this. But I love everything else about it. Grandmother Moon, Self-Reflections, Inner Rhythms, and Intuition. This is card number 4. Let's see. I used this one in my Awakened Spirit Vision reading. Father, Son. That's like a life purpose, ancestral guidance type of reading about your life purpose. Wisdom, it's a Spirit Path of the East, Universal Law, Learning, Sharing. This is card number 33. So yeah, I mean, it's not like the same art style by any stretch. I love the artist that did the Mystical Shaman, but in the end, it just didn't speak enough to me to make it even in my luggage to come here. Okay, but it meant enough to me to keep it at my parents' house. It says Ripe Berries Moon, Life Lessons, Victory, and Courage. So you've got 3 keywords here that you can send you off in all sorts of directions, so you can look at the beautiful imagery, or the guidebook has some great information in it, and I don't mind consulting this guidebook. It just is ripe with a lot of good information. I don't know if I've done a unboxing of this deck. I'll have to check. I hope I did. If not, I may do a deck and focus of it because I use it. I do use it often for readings for myself and readings for clients from time to time. So those are some of the decks. I'm sure I have other decks that does it for me in ways that I was hoping the Mystical Shaman would do for me. Thoughts. Here are my final thoughts about the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Some of the keywords I really liked, and some of them I didn't. And I think that can be a challenge when you are doing a tarot and oracle reading, especially for a client. I have to, when I see a keyword, it has to ignite something and trigger something in my imagination and kick off something with my intuition to go in a direction. And I just felt like sometimes the readings fell a little flat for me. That does not mean, and I have to say this, it's a beautiful deck and many people love it. It doesn't mean that my experience is going to be your experience, but this is my experience. I love sharing with you all the full spectrum of my collecting journey. From the time I bring a deck into the collection, even before that. Sometimes I share with you decks that are on my wish list. I share with you how I track all my decks. I share the full journey of my collection journey, and it's important for me to be authentic and share with you my honest feedback and whether or not I really have it. Do I still have this deck or not? So many times you'll see folks do deck flip throughs or walkthroughs or unboxings, and you don't know what end up happening with the deck. Do they get along with it? Do they use it? What kind of readings were they using that deck with? What were they doing? And you will see that oftentimes with me, when I'm reflecting back, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes I still very much love the deck, even if I'm not using it that much. Sometimes I'm using it all the time, I find, and other times the deck was moved on. And it's important for you as the viewer, as the consumer, the collector, to hear the whole experience, right? At least that's my philosophy on it. Hay House really had stepped up their game with the quality of their finish on the cards. The fact that they wanted to kind of jump into the whole world of creating a beautiful box, a beautiful guidebook, just beautiful images. They wanted to step it up, and they did with this deck, I think. I do. And yeah, the artwork is gorgeous. So, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the Mystical Shaman Oracle. What do you think about it? Do you have it? Do you want it? Do you have more questions about it? What are your comments about it? Let me know in the comments section. I'm dying to hear from you. And also, if you don't have it, why? And do you have other decks in your collection that work a bit better for what maybe you were hoping the Mystical Shaman would do? So yeah, let's continue the conversation down below in the comments section. All right, guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button on your way out of this video. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe so you can get more content, more of me hanging out with you. So yeah. And if you know folks who were wondering about this deck or just wondering about any decks, you share this video with them because they might want to see a deck that I had on my channel before. Maybe you was like, hey, what happened to that deck that you unboxed back in 2019? Do you still have it? So put something in the comment section of decks you would like me to revisit, and I'm happy to consider doing so for another episode of Where is the Deck Now? Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm sending you all so much love. Please take good care of yourselves. I'm going to see you all in the next video. Bye for now.